Hey guys, it's Canon Vixia Hollywood Studios here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Top Thrill Dragster, the original Strata coaster and the second tallest coaster in the world at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. So starting off with some of the statistics, it measures 420 feet in height with a drop of 400 feet, and that's at a 90-degree angle. Its max speed is 120 miles an hour, and that is hit in a hydraulic launch that launches riders from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 4 seconds. And it has a track length of 2,800 feet of track. So its stats are crazy. In terms of height and speed, they're way up there. The length is like in the middle. It's not crazy good, but it's not horrific. It's definitely a short ride, though, with a duration of 30 seconds. Yes, this ride is short, but it packs a punch. So before I start getting into the ride experience and the theme, I don't want this to be a comparison between this and Kingda Ka. As some of you know, I prefer Kingda Ka to this, but that's not saying anything against this ride. It's still a fantastic ride, and for me, this almost tops Kingda Ka. In any seat but the front row, this is better. But enough with talking about Kingda Ka. This ride actually cost $25 million to build, and that's back in 2003. So this ride is pricey, and that largely comes from the huge hydraulic launch and everything that comes with it. It's not easy to maintain, and that causes some downtime with the ride. When I was at Cedar Point, it only broke down once on me, and I know I was very lucky because of that. I'm going to be revisiting Cedar Point in about 2 weeks, so we'll see how that holds up. But I don't really think the reliability was terrible on this ride, although I know a lot of people say it is. So I'm just going to put that out there. And now getting into the theme. It's not themed throughout the ride, but there are little pieces of theming throughout the queue and just around the ride that make it that much better. So first of all, it's themed to a drag racing strip. You have bleachers set up right next to the launch, kind of in like a drag racing style, and you have a countdown light right at the start of the launch, and it goes yellow, 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 green, and there's also the same lights on the tower itself. And I think that's really cool. And then you have the revving up sounds of a car right before you launch. I think that's really cool. It definitely does theming a bit better than other coasters at the park. But getting into the ride experience, first you'll roll out of the station and stop at the beginning of the launch track. So sometimes you wait a while, sometimes you just go. But after waiting, you'll roll back and you'll hear the fins drop. And you might get yelled at to keep your arms down, and then you'll see yellow, 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 green, and then you launch from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 4 seconds. This launch is pretty intense, not as intense as Kingda Ka's launch. Again, I don't want to compare it to Kingda Ka, but it's still pretty intense. You do feel it lag off a little bit at the end, but it's not really that big of a deal. After that, you climb the massive top hat, and you get a fantastic view when you crest the top. You look around, you see Cedar Point, and you see Lake Erie, and it is a breathtaking view. But you don't have long to take that in, as right after that, you are dropping down through a 270-degree spiral, 400 feet down. It is pretty cool. I would rather it be a straight drop, but apparently the forces would not be good on you, so that's why they opted for that. At least that's what I've heard from the manufacturer. Then the ride's kind of over. Once you reach the ground and you flatten out, you hit the brakes, and there's a little thing that says finish line, and that's it. It is a very short ride, but it gets what it needs to do done. It is a bit of a one-trick pony, I can't lie about that, but the ride is pretty good. It's not crazy intense. I mean, it still definitely pulls like 4 Gs. I'm not exactly sure, but it's probably around there. But it's, again, I hate to compare it to Kingda Ka, but it's not as intense as Kingda Ka. However, moving on to the restraints and smoothness, this thing crushes Ka. Absolutely crushes it in this category. The restraints are just a simple T-bar. You're not restrained in by an over-the-shoulder restraint. You're very free, and the lap bar is very comfortable, at least for me. The ride operators do staple a little bit, but if you know how to resist it, it's not bad. And the smoothness of this ride, it is glossy smooth. I didn't feel one piece of roughness. And there aren't any non-wheeled seats, so you're always on a wheeled seat. So that means it's very smooth. I think that's partially because Cedar Point really keeps up on the ride's maintenance. when I was there, every wheel on that train was blue, which means it's brand new, which I was very surprised to see. Another thing that surprised me was the operations on this ride. They are crazy. They have 6 trains, although they generally just use 5, and they are pumping trains out like no tomorrow. The capacity on RCDB says 1,000 riders per hour, but I would not be surprised if it's higher. The trains have 5 cars, and riders are arranged in 2 across in 2 rows, and there's 20 riders per train. They're not the biggest trains in the world, but they're not tiny either. And I couldn't believe the operations on this ride. Because all the other parks I've been to, the operations were not 30 seconds, and they were quick. You have, through the turn into the station, you get off there. You don't get off in the station. It's interesting because I'm used to King Dakar setup. So I thought that was very efficient. So the trains roll into the station completely empty, and you have 2 sets of loading stations. You have one in the front, one in the back. It's not a dual loading station, but it's still very efficient. It's in the style of Maverick at, the same park. So I think the operations are fantastic on this ride. I think that's about it for this review. I'm going to give this ride a final score of a 9 out of 10. It is great, but it is short. But it really, really packs a punch with how long it is. So that's going to conclude this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Top Thrill Dragster? Leave them in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.